Well, good afternoon, my friends. This episode is called Spring into Our New Camper, and that's because even though it right now doesn't look like it, spring is here and we're getting our new camper ready for the season. So in this episode, we're going to cover mostly things that you only have to do once when you get a brand new camper, but also just some spring stuff as we get into the season here. We're headed out in just a couple weeks, and so we're trying to get this puppy ready to get on the road. We are super excited to get back out on the road, but without further ado, let's talk about the camper here. So friends, the first thing I want to talk about here, and this should probably be done every spring and probably at least once throughout the season with every camper you buy, but in particular with a brand new camper, you want to grease your wheel bearings. They seem to come with a little less grease from the factory than I would like. This was true to this rig and our old one. You want to hit these with some grease first thing before you really get into traveling with it. Now would also be a good opportunity to torque your lug nuts. This one says 100 foot-pounds every 100 to 200 miles. And so this definitely does say also that before your first trip of the spring, you should be doing that. So to grease these is fairly simple. You need to get it jacked up off the ground because you'll need to be able to rotate it. It doesn't have to be up incredibly high. It just has to be high enough that you can rotate it. Just take a little flat screwdriver, pop that off, and then there should be a rubber thing on the inside, but of course this one is messed up. Well, that's interesting. I'm very confused. Oh, I see what it's missing. But where did it go? Or was it just never installed? Friends, when you tear these apart, it should look like that on the inside, and it should have a little rubber cap in there, and you'll pry that off with your little flat screwdriver. But check this one. This one here is missing like the whole cover. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try to get one of those. Don't think it's a huge deal for the time being. I'm gonna try to order one and get it before we go out on our trip. That is gonna be a little bit more involved because I will have to take this wheel off just because of the fact that this silver thing right here is in the way. Shouldn't be a huge deal, I guess. But yeah, my bad for not checking this before now, because I probably would have noticed, well, I definitely would have noticed that. But okay, let's try to get some grease in these bearings, and then we'll move on to the next thing here. So interestingly enough, friends, on this side of the rig, all the lug nuts were still at 100 pound-feet of torque. But on the other side, there was one wheel where they moved a good bit. So it's interesting. Generally, they're always all fine, but there's always that one chance that they may not be. So you don't want to lose a wheel going down the road, that's for sure. So the next thing we're going to get into is a vent cover for the top of the rig. So let's go up on the roof. So before we get up on the roof, I want to tell you a little bit about the vent cover itself and why you actually need one. This one here is a Camco product. There's really not a whole lot special about it. Just, in my opinion, just get whichever one is the cheapest. These are pretty easy install. We had one on our last camper. The fact that a brand new camper doesn't come with stuff like this, to me, is an atrocity. But they don't. That's just the facts of the matter. And you need one if you're going to be camping in the cold weather. So like when you're running your propane heat, you'll get condensation here inside the camper on the windows and every such thing because they're not insulated quite like a house. You don't have the dual pane glass and stuff like that, and the propane heat creates moisture. The quick, easy solution to this, of course, is to open your roof vent in the bathroom. Just crack it, just a little bit. But we've had several instances, especially in the spring and fall when you're running your heat, that it just rains a lot. And if your roof vent is open, that rain is now going to come inside your camper. Enter in your roof vent cover, you no longer have that issue with the rain. And this right here above me is the vent that I'm speaking about. That's all you got to do to open it, just a smidge. Once we installed the cover in our last rig, we pretty much left that open. There's really no reason to ever shut it completely. Yeah, then of course when you're in here, you end up with nice ventilation. You don't get a buildup of moisture and smells and things like that in the bathroom. We'll be back here in the bathroom for some more mods in a bit, but for now, let's get to the cover. So you'll get up on the roof of your camper, and you're going to want to kind of center this visually over your vent, but you can see what it looks like in the first place. No vent, water gets in here, not good. Vent cover, There's no way for the water to get in. Then I took a marker and kind of marked where all these holes are on the actual physical roof of the camper. Camco has supplied these brackets here. These are going to go into the metal portion of your vent cover, just like this. And you want this hole here to align with your black Sharpie marker. There is a good bit of play in every direction, so you don't have to be exact with this. Camco provided all these screws and stuff. You'll mark on here the same way with a marker, and you would have to drill a hole with the appropriate size bit for these little screws. I personally am gonna go with a 21st century solution and use these self-drilling screws, and I'm gonna use the lock washers that Camco has provided and an impact, and we'll just zip them right in there. Shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. Just easier this way. So this is what we're gonna do. I can't remember what I did last time, but whatever it was held up. I'm pretty sure I did this. So whatever you wanna do, that's what I recommend. These here will come up through your brackets, just like that, and then into your cover. And then you'll put a washer on this side, the other side, and a nut. I'll show you here in just a second. This should take you like 10 minutes at most. Getting up and down from the roof several times may be the hardest thing. Get a good ladder and don't fall off of it. You'll see there I added some extra screws to the front too because they just felt a little bit flimsy and I didn't like it. Otherwise, it's just a real easy thing. You just stick this here, just like so. Put a washer there, same thing there, just like that. Washer on top, lock washer on the top. With the other one. Most of the rigs nowadays, especially your entry-level units like this one, this is a Salem by Forest River, they don't come with TVs anymore. There's a package probably that you can get one for a significant upcharge. And then there's a lot of people still that'll tell you watching TV is not camping. And for the most part, we're those people, right? Because we, in our old rig, never used the TV. I think maybe we watched a movie on it once. But the cable hookups in our old rig, something was not wired correctly, and I could never figure it out to get it to work. We actually were at a site with a cable hookup once, and like I said, it did not work, which was actually quite depressing because it rained the whole time we were down at Chigatoog. We are going to put one up here simply because we have it, and it didn't cost us any money. We have an extra TV, so it's going to come in here. I could see several situations where it would be nice to have. I wouldn't mind having it to watch like the news or to look at weather, things like that. So we're going to put it up on the wall here. I got this mounting system at Walmart. This is a hang-on fixed TV wall mount. We're not going to have any ability to move the TV or swing it in any sort of direction. The couch is here facing the TV as it should be. So yeah, some floor plans you don't have that luxury and you need something that tilts and moves and stuff, but especially being this is on the slide and stuff, I want it to be fixed and solid as possible. Now, unless your rig is sitting perfectly level, you're going to have to use measurements off of something fixed in order to get your TV to be mounted correctly. And in a situation such as this in our Salem, where you got all these lines horizontal, you want your TV to be matched up with these horizontal lines, or I'm probably going to use this top thing here and make it equidistant from that, because otherwise if it's level but level isn't parallel to this stuff, it's going to look stupid. Alright, so here's kind of the situation as I see it. We're going to center this up and down pretty much on this board. We can drill into this anywhere we want to because this is a very thick piece of wood. In your camper, make sure that what you're drilling into is thick and good and sturdy and going to hold it up. You also want to make sure if you're putting this on some sort of exterior wall that these aren't going to go the whole way out through and cause some sort of problem. I'm going to center this up and down because I want to leave room in case we get a bigger TV, because I had thought about putting it higher to try to cover up this thing, but that's just going to be the way it is. So we're probably going to just measure up and down, measure side to side, find the center, and go from there. It's pretty simple. This should take you no longer than the vent cover up on the roof. These just hang on to here just like this, and there's 4 holes in the back of the TV with threads that you just mount these onto, and then it just hangs there. It's pretty simple. Let's see if we can make it happen here. So we've got this mounted here. We've got the brackets mounted on the back of the TV. And so I'm just gonna hang it back up here and see how this all pans out. And just like that, we now have a TV here in the RV. So yeah, and it's a nice big TV. It just makes the space look better. It kind of looked dumb to me without the TV there. So hide this cord a little better. And then the cord actually goes back into the slide and comes out the side and plugs in there just like that. So easy peasy. I should also tell you with the TV, and just generally speaking, I bought one of these specifically to keep in the camper because I know that it's going to come in handy with a billion things. So yeah, one of these all-in-one screwdrivers. I got it at Harbor Freight for a couple dollars, and we're going to stick it over here, and we will always have it. Our next must-have upgrade to a brand new camper is the bathroom faucet. So let's get into that now. Here in the bathroom of the camper, there's several things we need to address. One relates to some functionality. This El Cheapo faucet that they give you here, it's so low in the sink that it's almost impossible to even wash your hands, let alone try to brush your teeth with. So we bought a residential faucet that we're going to be putting in here. It's actual stainless steel, not plastic coated in some sort of stainless steel like this is. But of course that will match the stainless finishes on there, and this isn't stainless, but the actual shower curtain is. Then the next thing, this is both related to aesthetics and function. This shower head uses a ton of water. We've had very good luck with the Oxygenics in our last camper, so that's what we're going to put in here as well. This one here, the Oxygenics RV Fury, it's actually black and stainless, and so I'm thinking that the black and stainless shower head is going to look really stupid with this big white fixture here, so we're going to paint this black. That's going to be the first order of business here, is to paint this black, and then putting the new shower head on ought to be a real simple task after that. So yeah, that's going to be function and aesthetics. We should be able to boondock and use a lot less water. This rig, the fresh tank is not very big, so that's kind of our main drawback, and I don't want to have to run back and forth a million times from the water spigot, bringing water over via like a bladder or something. We probably are still going to have to get a bladder, but at least this will save us some water. And gray tank space as well is an issue. We're going to start with this and then move into the residential faucet. These handles here are pretty easy to pop off. There's just one of these plastic doodads. You just get your fingernail in there and pull it off, and then unscrew the screw here, and then it just comes right off. We're going to put some painter's tape around it, painter's tape around these, and this for the actual shower head itself should just unscrew like so, and then the new shower head will screw right on there. So I'll put some tape around this or whatever, but it shouldn't matter if that gets a little bit painted black. But generally speaking, I think this will all look a lot better in black. I might paint this black too, in which case I might take it off to paint it. And then the new shower head ought to come with a new thing up there. We'll see, I gotta open the box, but I believe the old one we had came with a new thing. If not, I may paint this one black. I'm not sure yet, so we'll see how all that works out. Alright my friends, this is kind of what my tape job looks like here. So then I just got some really fine steel wool and went over that to knock some of the gloss off of it, and then just hit it with some Windex, or you could use any sort of like rubbing alcohol or something to make sure that there's nothing on here that you don't want to be on here. There's actually a little bit of a sticker. I want to make sure I get the rest of that off. But you want your paint to stick. That's very important. You know, once you start hitting it with that steel wool though, you're pretty well committed to the project, but obviously we're committed to the project, so I'm just using a Rust-Oleum satin protective enamel. It does say it sticks to plastic. At least I read that somewhere on there. Let's get to it. We're going to wait and let that paint to dry. I have the exhaust fan above me running because I don't want to get high out here. And by the way, make sure you take your ID to Walmart or they won't let you buy spray paint. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll see how that turns out, I guess. Well, in the meantime, we're going to work on putting this faucet in here. But now I got to get underneath and disconnect that. There's no way I can show that to you. It's hard enough to work in the space, let alone try to stick a camera in it. RVs are tiny, cramped spaces, but if you've done a residential faucet before, this is the same thing. There should be 2 screws on the bottom of here, and then you just unscrew them. And of course your water lines go into there too, so you got to get those off first. The camper's winterized still, so there's no water in the lines, so it's a good time to do this. Yep, that's the space we have to work with, friends. I don't know what you can actually see under there. You'll be doing this pretty much by feel, because you can't see nothing. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Doesn't appear like it wants to come off by hand, so I'm going to have to get something to grab a hold of that. But yet that something has to fit up in there. Alright. I brought a whole bunch of stuff, and hopefully something works. Your best kind of option is to get this up in there, something like this, and clamp it onto here and just turn it. And if you can just turn it a little bit, they're going to come off, and it'll be, you can just do it by hand after that. You just got to break them loose, and yours might not even be that tight. But then your sink faucet just comes up just like that. Cleaning instructions. Yeah, this is just plastic. Made in China. That's probably made in China too, but at least that ain't plastic. And honestly, it's not really the plastic that bothers me. It's just the height. I mean, you can't get your head underneath it or nothing. This one here sticks up a lot. It's not obviously going to be that much when it's all said and done. I got to take them plastic dooflickies off the bottom there. And I would love to find a cheap way to replace this sink too, because then you could actually use the stopper that comes with the faucet, which they come with some really nice stuff now. You know, the ones you just click on and off or whatever to stop. But I don't know why you're stopping water in a sink like this anyway, but the way that this one's designed here, it looks really cheap, and you know, it's just plastic junk. But again, it's an entry-level RV, so you have to expect such things. Alright, so it'll look just like that. It should be real easy to wash your hands now. You're not sticking your hands way down in the sink. You can do it up here. And if you got to get your head under it to brush your teeth and rinse your face off and all that stuff, you can do that now. So this is way better. And this is function and aesthetics, because I think it looks better too. And it feels better. And it's easy. So this will have just the 2 plastic doodads, just like the other one did. You thread them on to here. And then your water lines will thread right on here too. These are the same exact fittings and threads and everything, just like you took apart. It's going to add weight to your rig. It's maybe a negligible amount, I guess. But if you are up against the edge of your payload, you know, maybe you want to keep a cheap plastic faucet. You can't use, like I said, the stopper that comes with it, because it just doesn't work. These aren't thick enough like a porcelain one would be to make that work. Friends, it's quickly becoming a disaster in here, but that's okay. It's got to get worse before it gets better. We got a faucet. We're painting that. We'll soon have a shower head on. In the meantime, Rachel's going to vacuum because I need to put the slide in and monkey around with a few things outside. While we're doing that, and we're talking about springing into the new camper, there's going to be sawdust and waste material in very odd places. And one of those, in ours, is these floor vents. And yeah, there's sawdust in here from the build, but there's going to be an accumulation of who knows what in these floor vents over the years. you really don't want to buy an RV with floor vents. But it's not a deal breaker for me because it's not really the end of the world to get out your impact and zip up these screws and clean them. So I'm going to take all the covers off, and that way when Rachel vacuums in here in a few minutes, she's going to do that also. Of course, just be careful. You don't want to lose your screws down your vent hole, because that would just be counterproductive. But then these just pull up just like so, and you can vacuum in there. So friends, another very important thing that we have to worry about with our new camper is because we have a slide, these rubber seals here, they need to be conditioned. And I bought this at Walmart. It's just 3-in-1 RV Care rubber seal conditioner. And as far as I can tell, you just spray this on your rubber seals here. There's one here on the other side and then on the top. Should be easy. This isn't very expensive, but you should be doing it several times per year, they told us at the dealership. So I'll probably do it in the spring and probably somewhere in the middle of the season. I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what you're actually supposed to hit with this. Hopefully it's okay to hit other things with it other than the rubber. Because there's even like the rubber like strip in there. But probably you want to hit that too. And I'm going to pull the slide in then after this because I have to mess around with some other things. Alright my friends, occasionally on this channel we're going to do something really stupid. And then I'm going to tell you not to do what we just did. As far as painting this goes, do not ever spray paint anything inside your RV. The amount of overspray that got on stuff, even stuff that had newspaper on it, yeah, do not do that. If you want to spray paint this, which I still think it looks okay in the long run, I shouldn't say that. It would look okay if it looked okay, but mine does not. If you want to do this, take this all apart, take it somewhere else, spray paint it someplace else, put it all back together, re-silicone it, all that stuff. The paint does not stick to the silicone that was there, so that's a kerfuffle, and the overspray issue. Just don't do it. The actual Oxygenics thing, with this being black, overall, it looks actually pretty good in my opinion. Definitely would have looked stupid if that was still white, so, you know, it is what it is. I do highly obviously recommend this. We've had one before, and it works really good. We're hoping that with the instant hot water heater that there's enough flow from this thing though to run the instant hot water heater. Otherwise we're going to have a really big problem. So yeah, there's that. It's all learning. We'll tell you obviously if it don't work, then you'll know not to do this when you have an instant hot water heater. We just have a little bit more tidying up to do around here before we head out for our first trip of the season, so I'm going to get on that right now. Be sure you're subscribed because in next week's episode we're taking this beast out on our first adventure of 2024. We're headed down to Lost River State Park in West Virginia, and it provides one of the best overlooks on the East Coast. Make sure you tune in next Thursday at 5 o'clock. It's going to be full of adventure.